Franchise cricket will never be successful in the UK, in my opinion. Now, at the time of speaking, we're currently seeing the rebranding and renaming of several hundred teams, which is causing some controversy in certain areas of the UK cricketing world. Now, I want to be really clear from the start. This video isn't supposed to be negative about franchise cricket. I personally really like franchise cricket and think it's had an amazingly positive impact on the world cricket game. But this video is just about why I don't think it in particular will be successful in England. And there's a real niche reason why that is, which I'll get into. If you do find yourself enjoying this video at any point, please do hit like, please do hit subscribe. And if you don't like this video, jump to the comment sections, call me a do whatever you want to do. The whole point in this video and all my videos is to kind of, start a conversation and a discussion between like-minded cricket fans. Let's get into it. Rest in peace, the Northern Superchargers, the Oval Invincibles, and the Manchester Originals. You are gone. You are with the Angels now. And in your place, we have some shiny new identities and franchises. We have MI London, Sunrisers Leeds, and the Manchester Supergiants, or the Manchester Elephants, as they're being affectionately known by some English cricket fans. It's a weird time for the UK in a moment in terms of cricket, and this feels like an inevitable move for the 100. I feel like certainly I did, and I think a lot of other cricket fans saw when the 100 launched, this is always the way it was going to go if it got successful enough. A lot of cricket fans seem to get really wound up by the 100 and the format itself. But I think dealing with the 100 becomes a lot more easier when you actually realise who it's for, and it isn't us. The 100 as a competition wasn't made for people who are die-hard cricket fans who are already going to test matches and travelling around the world to follow their team. That's not the target audience for the 100. And that's not to say you can't enjoy the 100 if you're in that bracket. I watch the 100. It isn't my favourite format, but I still can get enjoyment from watching that game because I enjoy virtually all forms of cricket. But in my eyes, the 100 is designed and meant for new or casual cricket fans. And that's not an insult to anyone that watches the 100. I think it's brilliant for bringing new people into the game. If you try and get a new cricket fan and sit them down in front of a test match, they're going to rightly say, this is boring. Now, for anyone that loves test match cricket, you'll go, well, that's ridiculous. Test matches aren't boring. They are if you're completely new to test matches, right? So the 100, for me, acts as an easy and simple way to get new people, whether that be kids or just casual fans or people that haven't considered cricket as a sport to follow before. It gives them the opportunity to almost sample cricket in this kind of fun, bite-sized way where there's lots of other things going on. I know for kids, it's brilliant because you've got your fireworks, you've got the music, and I was there as a kid. My granddad used to take me to cricket when I was a young boy. And I was never really that into the cricket until I turned about 10, 11, 12 upwards. Those early days, I was kind of just distracted by anything else happening in the stands. And that's very much what the 100 is doing for these kids as well. You can go along, they can get somewhat involved in the cricket, but they can get enjoyment in other areas. They can interact with mascots. They can have fun with the music. They can see the fireworks. There's so much going on at the 100. And if you can capture someone in the game by doing that, then when you put them in front of a T20 match, they might be more invested in that than they would be if they went in there completely dry. Further down the line, you introduce them to an ODI, a one-day match or whatever. Further down the line from that, you introduce them to a test match. And hopefully at the end of this journey, you've got a new cricket fan who's into all formats. Cricket is never going to be the main sport in this country, so the ECB had to find new and inventive ways to glamourize the sport a little bit. And when we talk about glamour, that's where franchise comes in, because if you watch the IPL, the one word I get from it is glamour. It's glitz, glamour, celebrity, the biggest names, the biggest stars, all this money, this showmanship. That is what franchise cricket is. Now, I don't think it's going to be successful in the UK. And the first question we have to answer when it comes to that is, well, what is success? What does success look like? If the ECB just want to generate lots of revenue from this competition and they want to get it out to a global audience, then it will be successful, right? I'm not challenging that. I am talking purely about it being successful domestically. Are people going to be following this sport in this country in the same way they follow the county championship? And there's this rubbish argument that people have put to me before on social media that no one follows the county championship anyway. That's not true. It's still a massively popular format. It's still a massively popular competition. There were record high attendances this year in the county championship. Surrey smashed some incredible numbers at the Oval. People are still wanting to watch county cricket, and that will never die. So why will franchise cricket not be successful in the UK when it's so successful in India, it's so successful in Pakistan, and let's be fair, all around the world now? Well, in England and the UK, I think people look for something different in the teams that they follow. When British people look to support something, I think they look for two things, and that's tribalism and loyalty. Now, tribalism, I'll flash the description up on the screen. I'm not trying to patronise you. I'm sure you know what it means anyway. But just in case you don't, tribalism is essentially that sense of belonging. You know, you feel like you're part of a tribe. You know, you feel included. You feel like you have something that you can own. And also you kind of, you know, you have that hostility against those in other tribes. And I'm not saying that cricket is suddenly going to become like football and we're going to be segregated at games and we're going to be fighting outside grounds. It's not what I mean at all. But, you know, I'm a Warwickshire fan, and by extension of being a Warwickshire fan, I dislike Worcestershire. It's just, it's instilled in my brain that I dislike Worcestershire. I dislike Worcestershire players. I dislike Worcestershire fans to an extent, even though some of my best friends are Worcestershire fans. It's all part of that pantomime kind of hate that is drummed up in British sport. And it's really obvious and prevalent in football. Now, I'm not trying to compare football and cricket, but sometimes there are similarities that cricket fans don't want to admit. And when it comes to supporting teams, it's exactly the same. Most football fans will tell you that they've supported their team because they had no choice. That's something you hear all the time. And yes, there are anomalies. There will be people that will just choose to support, you know, Manchester City because they're successful. There will be people that will choose to support Liverpool because they've got lots of money. But most people will say, oh, I support this team because my dad does, right? I wouldn't have chosen to support Birmingham City. I would now after many years of doing it. But if you ask 4-year-old me, do you want to support Birmingham City, see them win one trophy, get relegated many, many times over the years, do you still want to support them? Back then, I probably would have said, no, I'm all right. But I didn't have that option because Birmingham City was part of my family. My dad instilled it in me, and it's from where I'm from. So it was the obvious thing to do was support that team. Now, you can't do that within the 100, even before the franchisation of these teams, because they're new for a start. So there's one thing, you can't support them all your life because they've been passed down because they are new teams. But the second thing is, think about that tribalism. What is there to grasp onto? What is there to make you feel included, like you're part of something, that you've got ownership, that you're part of this exclusive tribe that really resonates with you and really sort of speaks to a part of your life. If you're a proud Yorkshireman, right, let's say you're from Sheffield, okay? And you're from Sheffield, and in the county championship, you support Yorkshire, right? Football, you support Sheffield United or Sheffield Wednesday, whatever. And maybe in the 100 previously, you supported the Northern Superchargers, right? You might think, Northern Superchargers, it's not quite Yorkshire, but, you know, it's enough, it resonates enough with me. I'm from the north, I can relate to that. But now the Northern Superchargers have been rebranded as Sunrisers Leeds, I would be amazed if there's anyone from Sheffield that wants to support that team. For the simple fact that it has Leeds in the name. And to people that aren't from England, that might sound ridiculous, but that is what I'm talking about in terms of that tribalism that is just instilled in British culture. Oval Invincibles, you know, you might over time be able to grow an affinity for Oval Invincibles. You might be, you know, a Surrey fan that goes to the Oval all the time. You might be from the Vauxhall area or the Surrey area. And now it's Mumbai Indians London. It suddenly feels like you don't have that identity. You don't have that tribalism you can hold on to anymore. And look, Manchester Supergiants maybe isn't as bad as some of the others, but then there's this, which, whether you agree with the statement in this video or not, surely we can all agree that that is a terrible, terrible logo. Look, and I've got to doff my cap to, you know, the Supergiants franchise for allowing a competition winner to design the logo. It's just a shame that the person that won that competition was a visually impaired otter. And the thing with Glitz and Glamour, I don't think Glitz and Glamour necessarily appeal to the British people. Certainly not in the same way as it does to Indian cricket fans or Pakistan cricket fans. And that isn't a negative on either of those sets of supporters, by the way. It's just a difference in culture. Look at some of the heroes of English cricket. And we're not just talking about people who are very good at cricket, right? Think about the people the ones that are lauded as our heroes. And you sort of think of Andrew Flintoff, right? Andrew Flintoff was a brilliant player. There have been far better players than Andrew Flintoff. One of the reasons why he's so well liked and he's so lauded by English cricket fans was because he was a hero. He was a warrior. You know, he put his body on the line. He's the guy that you could rely on to pull you out of a hole. That isn't necessarily talking just about ability. That's a mindset. It's a mentality. Ben Stokes is the same. And actually, interestingly, I've done a lot of stuff on the Ashes on my channel recently, and there's been Australians going, how are you still defending Ben Stokes? He had a terrible series. He did. But English fans will always love Ben Stokes because he has that British sort of resilience and that sort of down in the trenches fighting spirit that speaks to us so much. Ask most British fans what their favourite sort of cricketing moments are. You know, certainly in Test matches, I guarantee more people will say that Jack Leach one not out than they will a big 100 by a Joe Root. And on the point of loyalty, I think people in the UK like to feel attached to certain players, and we want to be invested in their progression over the years. And it's quite difficult to do that in the 100 and in franchise cricket, because so frequently that lineup will change. Yes, you'll get the sort of returning stars, but you know what you get when you sort of follow a county team is you can see, for example, now Warwickshire, there's young players that I've watched grow and develop into real talented cricketers over the years at Warwickshire. Jacob Bethel, great example. I remember watching Jacob Bethel when he first broke through at Warwickshire, and now we've just recently watched him score his first Test match 100. That to me is far more rewarding, watching a young player come through like that, than us just going and signing a massive name who's already developed. And I think another stumbling block with franchising in the UK is the county structure and how the teams currently existing are broken into geographically. For example, take somewhere like Somerset, right? Wonderful county. Know a lot of Somerset fans. They're immensely passionate about their cricket. They're a very successful county as well. Now, their most local 100 team is Welsh Fire. It's in a different country. And a lot of Somerset fans, rightly so, have just kind of written off the 100 and gone, well, you know, I'm not going to travel that far. I don't have a horse in the race. I'm not going to follow the competition. And what Somerset are doing, it seems to me from an outside point of view, are just concentrating on being a very good blast team that win that competition most years. Now, most cynics will tell you that this move is all about money. I don't think it is all about money. I think the ECB, it's a big part of it is the money. Of course it is. But I think the ECB need the franchise money, but they also need the pull of international audiences. How many, you know, before this season, how many people in India were watching the 100? I don't know the stats, but I can't imagine it was that high. If you bring on the Indian franchises, yes, more people that follow those franchises around the world will be invested in the sport. So naturally, the audience goes up. Now, that is a good thing. You can't deny that. But I just think you can't neglect your domestic fan engagement. And I think what this will see is a massive increase in audience, massive increase in revenue. Brilliant. You'll get international fans involved. But I actually think sort of that tribalism and that connection with the English fan or the UK fan will actually fall off a cliff. And my worry, I think this is a long way off, but my worry is, you know, the ECB, the English county structure isn't in a great way at the moment. There's lots of scheduling problems. We know it's an issue. It's always talked about by every cricket fan. We play too much cricket, too many competitions. I worry this will bring success from a commercial revenue point of view. It will bring success from an international audience point of view. And then do the ECB start rolling this out on a wider scale? Do we start seeing franchising elements sort of creeping into other formats? Do we start seeing the 100 overtaking, which some would argue has already happened, overtaking other formats in the UK? I just worry then that really puts cricket as it is currently and what we all love it for in the UK in a bit of a dangerous position. So there we go. For anyone that follows my channel or has watched one of my videos before, you'll know that this is very much what I do. I hit record and just kind of verbal diarrhea my thoughts into a video. May not have made a lot of sense, may not have resonated. If you disagree, it's absolutely fine too, by the way. I'm not saying that this is black and white what is happening or what is going to happen. This is solely my opinion. I'm interested to hear yours in the comments too. Let me know, are you concerned for the future of English cricket, and is this franchisation that's slipping into the 100 gonna kind of fester and manifest in other areas of the game too? Or alternatively, is this going to be great and am I going to be eating my words come the end of the 100 this year round? Let me know in the comments, and if you did like this video, please do hit subscribe, drop us a like, that'd be great. Thanks a lot. See you on the next one.